Alright folks, I'm going to tell you the story of my first and only moose kill. It was about 2 years ago. My father-in-law and I went hunting up north at his cabin on Lake Shalatna, which is about 45 minutes northwest of Talkeetna by plane. We flew up there on a Friday night, but before we landed at the cabin we flew around and spotted to see if there were any moose around. And sure enough, there were several moose. So we even got a chance to see two moose going at it. They were locking horns in combat. It was pretty impressive. They were busting up the ground, and it was pretty cool. Well, the next morning we got up. I didn't get a moose that day, but I did get some of the worst cramps I've ever had. We were walking around for several hours on boggy terrain, pretty hard walking, and eventually my legs started cramping up. And they basically both just seized up entirely, both front and back of my legs. So I couldn't stretch. Both front and back were going, so I couldn't stretch at all. And so I had to sit there and grin and bear it for about 10 minutes. If you've ever had this type of cramp, you know that eventually the cramp will just wear itself out, and then you can go on with your life. But for a little while there, you're just stuck. You can't do anything. But anyway, I got through that. It was kind of a big trauma for a minute there, and then we went back to the cabin. My father-in-law was gonna just call it and say, okay, never mind, you're in pain, so let's just go home the next day. But I convinced him otherwise. I convinced him that I'd be okay, and I'm glad I did, because the next day we got up, we got out there, we started walking around a couple hours, 3 hours. We walked around, and we heard some activity. We knew something was around us. We knew there was something there, but we just didn't know quite where. So we hunkered down in some brush and next to some trees, and we had an antler with us. And what you do with the antler is you scrape it against a tree, and it simulates a moose doing the same thing. So sometimes they'll challenge each other by scraping against a tree. So I did that a few times over the course of an hour, and sure enough, a moose pops out and starts looking around. And my father-in-law points it out, and I get up behind a tree as it's walking broadside. It's about 120 yards away, walking broadside, and I get behind this tree, get my gun up on the branch, so I can stabilize it, and then I wait for him to cross my path. And sure enough, he walks right broadside right across my path, and take a deep breath, and just relax and remain calm, and pull the trigger, and got him right behind the front quarter, right through the lung. He went down pretty much immediately, and he bled out in his lung. So that makes the meat even better, because you get all the blood out of the meat and into the lung, and the meat's better taken care of. Anyway, my father-in-law was quite proud of me. I was quite proud of me. It was quite the experience. I was really proud of myself, and I hope I get a chance to do that in the near future. Anyway, I hope you guys have a good night, and thank you for listening to my story.